Hi, this is the unpacking video. When you get your two boxes with the steps, one box will have the steps, which is this stuff. We'll take that out, put it on the bench, and we'll come over here and look at what's in the other box. At the back, you'll see the two things marked left and right are the mounts that will screw onto the mount on the caravan. We will take the old steps off, marked left and right. We'll come across and you'll see that you've got two bits of bar with bends in them called an outer link, and next to that an inner link, and then right over the far side there we've got something called a pivot lock, two of those. Going back over the left hand side again, you'll see that there's a thing I've called a latch catch, and that's all about holding the steps in their lock position. Below that is the pivot bar, which goes all the way at the back of the whole frame, and then over here on the right hand side is an assortment of nuts and bolts that we will use all of those. We might have a few washers left over, hopefully, and hopefully you don't have too many bits left over, and hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. Okay, some tools that you'll need to put the list together and some consumables. I think you're going to need some grease. I've just got this from Super Cheap. And some thread locker or Loctite, whatever brand you prefer. Blue's okay. Use the red stuff if you never ever want it to come apart again. And then we need to have a 10mm socket, a 10mm open ender and ring spanner, maybe a socket you can put onto a rattle gun if you like rattle guns, a 17mm socket and an appropriate driver or a ratchet handle, a 19mm socket that you can put on here or use on a ratchet handle, and then I've got a 19mm ratchet ring spanner and a 19mm open ender. So with that selection of stuff, you'll be able to do most of this work without too many dramas at all. Let's start with some pre-assembly. We're going to work on the steps in the first instance, and so we're going to go and get one outer link and one inner link from our pile of stuff, a bent one and a straight one, and get them ready to put on. Now, to go with those, we're going to want some stainless steel washers. We want two of those for each bolt, and then we want two nuts to go with those. So to make all this happen, what we're going to do is get a little bit of our bearing grease and put a bit of a smidge of that on that little shaft, like so. And then let's put a little bit on the face on both sides. Like so. Get one of our washers and put it on the bolt. Slip that onto there like so. Pop another washer on and then start the nut. Like so. Now you'll see with the steps as they're sitting at the moment that this is the face that sits outboard the caravan. And so the inner link goes on the inner side. We're going to repeat the same process with the outer link. So let's pop the washer on there, pop a little smear of grease on both of those. And this is about a little bit of lubrication and corrosion protection. And let's stick this little guy on here as well. Along with another washer. And we'll start the nut. Now, we'll just put that in there and fold it up and leave it go to the other end and repeat the process. With the pre-assembly, we're going to have a quick go with the stair mounts, the left and the right labelled bits of gear. And again, we'll start off with a little smidge of some grease on what will be the inner link pivot bolt. And then importantly, we'll get these two M12 washers, which we're going to use as spacers. Pop a bit of grease on those, pop it on the bolt. Do the same thing with the other one, pop it on the bolt. And then also get a stainless washer, one of the little 12mm ones we've got there. Pop a bit of grease on there and leave them sit there. The grease will stop them from sliding off and falling off while we do our next bit of work. And that's now ready to install. Now we'll move on to the pre-assembly for the latch catch. So there's the first piece, the second piece, and you'll see here that we've got the rear part of this and then the catch itself. We'll get one of our 6mm bolts, pop that through the hole, pop a nut on it, put the one in the back in there and pop a nut on it. And then it's going to be important that when we do this up, that we see that it's all done up nice and square. If you're using a rattle gun for this, don't over torque these, they're only little baby bolts. But it's going to be important here to get that so that it's fairly square, and then we're going to be ready to have that to put into the step mount. All right, so that's the pre-assembly work we've done. We've worked our way through putting the inner and outer links on both sides of the steps. We've gone to our left and right hand mounts and we've put the galvanised washer and the stainless steel washer on with some grease to keep them in place. We've assembled the latch catch so that is really easy now to install and assemble. These little bolts need to be as tight as they need to be. Again, they're only small bolts, so don't have to go crazy with them. And we're ready to start putting all this stuff on the caravan. Although first off, if you haven't yet, remove the first steps, the original steps from the caravan.